Downtown is an American animated series that aired on the MTV cable network. The show premiered on August 3, 1999, and ended its run on November 8th of the same year after only 13 episodes. The story follows the colorful, wacky, and often relatable lives of 8 different characters, some of whom are close friends, living in New York City, specifically in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Although the show was short-lived, it managed to capture a cult following in recent years. I, like many other fans of the show, have discovered and enjoyed watching the episodes on YouTube thanks to this wonderful channel, CKS Richardson. This channel, along with a few others, has provided many tidbits, such as the behind-the-scenes footage and a couple of the real-life interviews that inspired the characters from the show. This has given the fandom something extra to indulge in after having binged all 13 episodes. If it weren't for the uploads by these channels, most of the show would have likely been lost to obscurity, as Paramount, the parent company of MTV, has never released an official DVD for the show, and it's not available on their streaming platform, Paramount+. After having watched everything about the show on YouTube, I began to wonder if there was more information out there about it, considering that we may never get a revival of the original show due to many reasons, most notably the passing of some of the voice actors. I was motivated to look deeper into everything related to MTV's Downtown. After scouring the internet and compiling the most interesting pieces of information about the show, I am proud to present MTV's Downtown Iceberg. So, starting off in Tier 1, we have episodes 1 through 12, which are the episodes that are available on YouTube, again thanks to channels like CKS Richardson. Next on my list is 13th episode, titled Trip or Treat. Even though this episode is available in the same playlist with the rest of the episodes on YouTube, I thought it deserved its own spot since, interestingly enough, the creators of the show referred to it as being lost, presumably because, to their knowledge, it went unaired on the MTV network. Up next is the animatic. For those unaware, an animatic is essentially an animated storyboard. Oftentimes, they include voice acting and music. Its purpose is to get a sense of what the finished animation will look and sound like. The animatic that is available on YouTube is mistakenly titled as MTV's Downtown Pilot by the uploader. The actual pilot of the series is titled Sin Bin. This next one focuses on the street interview with the unknown person who inspired the character Serena on the show. The interview available on YouTube is 2 minutes and 5 seconds long. What's even more interesting is that over 53,000 people must have thought that they saw the complete interview. Surprisingly enough, there is a version out there that is actually around 3 minutes long. Up next is the behind-the-scenes footage that is also available on YouTube thanks to a channel called Yoav Levin. Chris Pernosky, the creator of the show, and George Christic, the story editor, sit down and talk about all the work that went into making the show. The footage is close to 13 minutes long and features a plethora of information that includes things like Pernosky's initial pitch of the show, background art, inspiration for the character designs, and personalities. One of the most interesting things mentioned in this interview comes from Ann Bernstein, the head writer of the show, and her concern with Pernosky's idea for an episode. The idea was to have Chaka shave her private area and take a picture of it only to accidentally lose it later in the episode. Bernstein was against this idea, exclaiming that it is sexist and it just isn't something that girls do. It was only when it was pitched to Abby Turkle, the president of MTV Animation, that the idea was given the green light to be made into an episode. Pernosky worried that when the script for the episode would be given to Leora Zuberman, Chaka's voice actress, that she would not want to go through with it. Ironically enough, during the read-through of the script, Zuberman confronted Pernosky asking, "How did you know that actually happened to me?" The episode in question was titled Before and After. Sadly, Chaka's voice actress, Leora Zuberman, passed away in April of 2023. The last thing on the list for Tier 1 is Goat's interview. This interview is available on YouTube and was uploaded by the channel Kidgel. The video features Scott Renaker performing an interpretive poem and dance. The video uploaded is titled Goat's Scrotum, a Poem, which is accurate to the content of the video, but it should be noted that the footage shown was the interview itself, which inspired the creation of the Goat character in the first place. This character would then show up as a cameo in shows like Megas XLR and Metalocalypse. Sadly, Goat's voice actor, Scott Renaker, passed away in February of 2023. The first on the list for Tier 2 is the official website for Downtown. This website is very old school, obviously since it was used to promote a show from the 90s. It is a perfect example of how simple website design was back in the day. The website features quite a bit of information about the show that I am sure many current Downtown fans would love to sink their teeth into. The main page of the site contains 4 categories: characters, music, clip of the week, and episode info. Clicking on the characters category opens up a page that contains an image of all the main characters hanging around a stoop. Here, you can click on any character and you'll get to hear what they have to say. Next, in the music category, you get full access to the entire original soundtrack used in the show, which was composed by Kimson Albert. In the clip of the week category, you get an image of a distressed Chaka with the caption, "Chaka's Bad Karma." Unfortunately, the link doesn't seem to work properly. When you click on it, your computer will download a .ram file instead. I couldn't get the file to open, but I didn't mind since it's just a short clip of the show anyway. Lastly, we have the episode info category. This page contains all the air dates and times for each episode. To the right of this information, there is a small description for each episode and a video clip underneath it. The links to the video clips are broken, but I assume they would have been the weekly promo clips for the new episodes. I found it interesting that the 13th episode has an air date, time, and description, but no video clip. This is also the only episode whose title is displayed above the air date and time information, and it is highlighted in a different color than the other episodes. I don't know if any of this is significant, but it is interesting nonetheless, especially considering that the creators of the show claim that the 13th episode was never aired. Perhaps the lack of a video clip is proof of that. Next, we have the character profiles. These are briefly shown in the behind-the-scenes footage and show images of each main character in different poses around a body of text that contains a brief description of the character. These character profiles, on the other hand, which I found on Pinterest, appear to resemble the ones in the footage. If you look closely, though, you will notice that the ones on Pinterest have different font colors, border colors, and character poses than the ones from the behind-the-scenes footage. This leads me to believe that the Pinterest images might be fan-made recreations, as they do not match how the original character profiles appear in the video. Interestingly enough, the art and font on the Pinterest character profiles are official. Everything just seems to be edited differently, so they may be official after all. Last on the list is the concept art that has been released to the public by Chris Pernosky, the creator of Downtown, and Dino Alberto, a character designer for the show. Pernosky shared his concept art on Instagram, while Alberto shared his on his own portfolio website. All of the art is beautifully drawn, and the notes that accompany it provide some insight on the rules artists had to follow to keep the art style consistent for the show. For Tier 3, we have George Christick's blog. George Christick, the story editor, made a blog on October 6, 2007, announcing the availability of Downtown DVDs. As stated on his blog post, available for the first and only time, you get your own signed, limited edition, region-free, 3-disc promotional set of all 13 episodes. The blog goes on to state that customers will be charged $30 to cover shipping, handling, DVD media, and the box. Christick highlights that the episodes on the DVDs are free, as the DVDs themselves are a promotional item and not for resale. I'm guessing this was because they would have needed Paramount's approval for an official release of the DVD. As it stands, these DVDs are the only way for fans to get their hands on a physical version of MTV's Downtown from the creators of the show. For Tier 4, we have the extra features and art that is available on the DVD. As mentioned before, some art has been made public by both Chris Pernosky and Dino Alberto, but what is found on the DVD is a treasure trove in comparison. The extra content that can only be found on the DVD in its original quality include official art, backgrounds, galleries, Easter eggs, and interviews on the people who inspired the characters on the show. They also have the official character profiles I had mentioned earlier. These look a lot different from the ones shown on Pinterest and in the behind-the-scenes footage on YouTube. It's almost like a combination of the two, which is very odd. Moving on to Tier 5 are the interviews of the people that inspired the characters on the show. 2 of these interviews are available on YouTube for both Serena and Goat's characters. The rest of the interviews can actually be found in the promotional DVD. Some other interviews are briefly shown in the behind-the-scenes footage, but only last a few seconds with little to no audio. There are a total of 7 interviews for the 8 main characters that are in the show. The one character that did not have an interview was Mecha. The creators most likely didn't need to interview anyone else since Mecha is Chaka's best friend, and Chaka was inspired by Leora Zuberman. Best friends are usually very similar to one another, therefore they probably just made Mecha similar to Chaka, thus bypassing the need to interview anyone else for that part. Speaking of the DVDs, for Tier 6, I listed the promotional DVDs themselves. These DVDs were available for a limited time between 2007 and 2022, which contains a lot of extra content that can't be found anywhere else in its original quality. Finally, on to Tier 7. We have the signed promotional DVD. This is essentially the same DVD as the regular promotional DVD, except that it has Chris Pernosky's signature on the front of the case. What's interesting is that these DVDs are said to be the ones that were made available for people to purchase from the blog. However, some DVDs that have been listed on the internet do not come with the signature. Since the DVDs were available on the blog for purchase for almost 15 years, it is likely that after some time, Christick was not able to get in touch with Pernosky as frequently to add his signature to the box before shipment. And with that being said, the MTV's Downtown Iceberg has come to an end.